Are you laughing at Grace or me?
I'm laughing at all of this.
I know, I'm so high too.
That's great.
How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna just...
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to How Come. He's on Sirius XM. I haven't even introduced you guys yet.
Oh my gosh.
It's Ian Fidance.
Yeah.
What's up? Hi.
Oh, yeah. You can hear him every day on Comedy Central, Sirius XM, right?
Every Monday and Thursday, yeah.
Cool. And also the wonderful, my friend from comedy, Jes Tom.
Hi.
Amazing, hilarious human being.
And I used to be a sex educator.
No way.
Were
Yeah.
you? I know you worked at
that's
the
sick.
Pleasure Chest.
Well, technically, that was, it's me talking up the job that I had. We do
Okay.
call ourselves sex educators, but it was also me working at a sex shop.
Okay.
When you work at like a weed bar, they call them bud tenders. Do they call you guys like ball tenders?
It was
Sponsored by Pleasure Chest.
very, very clever. It was a sex specialist, which you can't put on any other resume.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, right.
that was what it was.
What were the courses
That's
like?
killer.
I used to teach like female pleasure, which is like, a complicatedly gendered whatever kind of workshop. I used to do a strap-on
Vagina
workshop.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, not vagina. Vulva is the
Yeah.
whole thing, isn't it? Right?
Vulva is technically like the whole thing.
Right.
Technically, vagina is just the opening.
canal.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, the canal.
I've learned a lot. I've done a lot of studying.
Yeah, I used to do Sex Toys 101.
What were the most, or like bestsellers? Or
The most popular one was a blowjob workshop, which I didn't teach.
Why
but
is
by
that?
far.
Hilarious.
Because our entire sexual culture teaches women
that's what they have to be good at.
that's what they have to be good at, and also that the fun part, like, not that this isn't a fun part of sex, but that like the fun part of sex for you has to be like pleasuring
getting him off.
the other person, specifically your man partner.
Right.
And also I think there's a lack of communication. And then people want to be better innately. They want to help. And there is pleasure in making someone come.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of
But
course.
if you don't have that communication,
Yeah.
I think it's really tough.
That's the thing that is tough is like acknowledging that like you're worth pleasuring. I think for a lot of vagina owners.
So we would teach like a blowjob class and like a cunnilingus class, which I was teaching those. And the difference between it was like, they're free workshops, right? So it was just whoever showed up.
Oh, cool.
And the blowjob class was
Sold out lines,
like 50,
lines around the
50
block.
people,
Yeah.
Oh, of
like
course.
standing room only.
Of course.
Cunnilingus class, like 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And like a lot of them were women,
Right.
and or women are like queer people, and then there would be like one kind of creepy like straight guy
Yeah,
that you were
right.
like, oh, we don't really want to talk to you anyway.
Right. Well, so I think there's like this weird pride thing with like male sex where they're like, I know what I'm doing. And also like the penis is such like, that's like your whole identity, and you're taught from like a young age, like this is what matters the most. So when you fuck, you're like, I gotta do it with penis. It's all penis.
Yeah, totally.
And it's not penis.
No,
it's not all
it's
about
mostly
penis.
not
It's-
penis,
no.
actually.
It's like comedy. Such a small part of it is jokes. There's so much
Oh my God,
more
there's
else that
such,
goes into
such a
it.
good analogy.
There's so
You
much
know?
more penis.
Yeah, that's just the tip of the penis.
Yeah, dude. I swear to God, I was watching this porn the other night, and it fucking pissed me off because like the girl was so pretty, and the guy was just like such a physical specimen. I'm like, this is gonna be great. And the girl was giving all these cues of like what she wanted. And like the guy was just straight up like, penis, fuck. And she was like trying to like guide his hand, and he would like not pick up that cue. And she was like, do you like this? And he wouldn't even respond. I was like, get me in there, coach. I can do a better job. You know?
No, I can.
You're wrong.
Do you remember your first time coming experiences? And
Like first orgasm or first time like coming?
Will you clarify for me the difference between those for you?
Sure. Orgasming, I orgasmed before I could produce semen.
jizz.
Yeah. So
That's
I was
what a
like,
lot of guys have said.
yeah, and it was like heroin, chasing that dragon forever. I mean, you get knock-kneed, you're like jiggling around, you're like, what is happening? You know? And then the first time you jizz, you're like, is it broken? You know?
What did I do?
Yeah, Yeah. Oh my God, my penis threw up. Do I have to see a doctor? Yeah. Will more come out?
I'm learning a lot right now.
Are you?
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yeah, well,
that's great.
just experientially speaking, my body's not like that. So, like, for me, I'm like, yeah, orgasming, coming, it's like the same thing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not a squirter.
That varies. Yeah, that varies.
So
and I think
but do you feel different one way or the other? Because I don't think I do. I'm still very new to this.
didn't you just
yeah, but I've been
recently-
doing it a lot. Like this.
My sex educator answer is going to be, first of all, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's body is different and does different things, blah, blah. So, like, some people, like, ejaculate every time they have an orgasm. Sometimes.
Women or men?
I'm talking about, like, vulvas specifically.
Vulvas. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you say ejaculate, do you mean squirt or?
I mean, like, squirting. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm just being technical.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm being a scientist.
Yeah, we're scientists here. You guys can't see, but we're all wearing lab coats.
Yes,
And
there's a beaker in front of
things
Jess.
there's
only lab coats.
I have a Bunsen burner in my backpack.
Yeah.
I want goggles, too.
Yeah.
I tried to do some Foley work. It didn't work.
I love it. That's great. yeah, you're good. That's great.
It's true.
Science.
Yeah, so sometimes people are going to do it all the time. Sometimes it'll happen, like, every so often. I kind of think, like, you always, like, ejaculate a little bit, which is why you sort of, like, feel more wet afterwards sometimes.
Totally. Like leakage.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Cum.
And then sometimes it's a lot. Also, a lot of the time it comes more from, like, G-spot stimulation. You can't see me, but I'm doing the cum hither with my fingers right
Fingering
now.
the air. Like commas
2 at
or
12.
quote signs.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't
Quote
believe I never
signs.
thought that
Oh
for
my
my
God.
workshops.
Wow,
That's so
quote
smart.
signs.
And now
The
I don't do
student
that anymore.
has become
Well,
the teacher.
If anyone out
you're
there is
so
teaching
right.
workshops,
Yes.
We just gave
that
you a good
nice
one.
fingering motion that girls like.
You gotta
Vulva
pay.
owners like.
You got to pay Remy for that. You're making air quotes.
Yeah,
Yes.
5% everyone. Send it to How Come. Yeah,
Wow, I can't believe that that's, like, not a standard thing that people say, because you're totally right. I always said you should make a pirate hook.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh.
and go, "Arr," you can't see me, but yeah, I'm shaking.
Oh,
Julio
God.
Gallerati
Really,
says
though.
it's like coaxing a small animal to come out of
Yeah,
a
like
small...
trying to get a raccoon to come over. I got some food for you. The raccooch.
Oh, God.
Do you like vulvas
Love them.
exclusively?
No.
Sick.
Yeah.
How would you explain your sexuality in toto?
Well, my preference is vulvas and buttholes. That's like my favorite, but
Orifices.
yes. But, I do get a soft spot for, a nice schlong.
A nice
Every once in a
boner.
while.
Is it a soft spot, though?
It's a hard spot. yeah. I got a real hard spot for it. But yeah,
So
I like both.
bisexual man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was just watching this show called Love Island. I love trashy British reality shows, and one of them is X on the Beach. The American version, hate it, but watch the British version. Don't watch the American one. And then this one, Love Island. Love Island's great.
Why?
Everyone has to couple up, and they vote people off, and it's the most thrilling. It's like Big Brother plus X on the Beach, kind of. New people come in every day. People get voted. Like, you have to be in a couple.
Is it like
and
men
you
with
have to
men,
sleep in
women
the,
with women?
It's only
Or
it's
like
very
interchange?
heteronormative. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, men and women, and they
Evil.
and they all sleep in one big room together, and they all have like a queen size bed, and you have to sleep with your couple. It could never work in America,
sounds
but
like a
it's
cult.
amazing. But it's kind of like a cult.
Sounds
Like
like
they
the
just kind of like
Rajneesh.
accept the process, and like, like he just has to like crack on with it, and like whoever and all the other girls that come in the house, and like
Ugh.
got a couple. It's amazing though.
Woof.
I'm selling it too short right now, but anyway.
Yes.
One of the things that bothered me on it is there's a girl in the house, and there's like a secret that she's bisexual.
Oh.
Kick her
That's
off the
weird.
island.
Do they not have bisexuality in the UK?
I don't know. It seems like they think it's like, oh, you sneaky, like selfish. They want to like take
Yeah,
everyone for themselves.
I get that. I've
Yeah.
gotten a lot of pushback on it, specifically from the gay community, which is very funny.
Yeah, that
What?
sucks.
Yeah, that it's not a real thing.
Yeah,
and that
you
you're
gotta
just
choose.
straight gay.
You gotta
and
pick.
and also from the straight community, I get a lot of latent homophobia in terms of germophobia.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense to
Because
me too.
The idea is that bisexual people spread disease more
Yeah.
than straight people or gay people. So, I mean,
never
you know,
come
the
across that.
whole entire AIDS
No.
crisis was that the reason why it started going to straight people is because of bisexuality.
Yeah,
and
I suppose,
but I'm
that's
saying
not-
that's a narrative that was pushed.
right.
It doesn't make it a fact.
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
I was gonna
just
yeah,
like only gay people can get AIDS.
Right,
That's
right,
you know
of course.
the narrative that was pushed.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like I feel like the B in the LGBTQ community is very kind of brushed over in a way, which is whatever. I've never felt a part of that because I held it inside for so long. You know, I identified as straight for fucking 32 years.
I thought, when did we meet? I thought you were straight from
Yeah.
like when we first met or whatever. And then I remember the first time you did a joke on stage about dating trans women. I was like, oh, Ian's so much more interesting than I thought.
right? Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean that was a deep, dark Sophia secret I kept for decades.
How long were you doing? I mean, not doing it, but how long were you being yourself secretly?
Secretly?
Yeah.
I mean, in what capacity?
Were you acting on anything, or,
Oh,
or
yeah.
you were just watching porn, or?
No, I mean, I had been with like boys when I was in grade school, like first grade, and then I had a thing secretly with a guy from like 11 until 24, but it was very
That is such
straight
a
up
long
like
time.
very, very shame and hate filled and
Ugh.
very like publicly fist fighting and then in private, but still no intimacy, just like
Yeah.
come and then don't look at me, faggot.
That's
like that
literally
kind
like
of thing.
every 80s movie.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude, I straight up
Was
like
he really hot at least?
oh dude, he was so fucking hot.
Okay,
I
then
like
that's amazing. I mean,
pined
you
for
know how
him
many
for
fucking I've actually
years.
had relationships like that long, but like never dated, and it's just like I don't talk to her in person. We
Right.
still have sex. Really bad rabbit sex.
Right. Dude, he got involved in some like pyramid scheme in college where he was like hawking energy drinks.
Oh,
And I went to so many meetings and hotel
Conventions.
conference rooms to like learn about these I had so many
God.
fucking shitty energy drinks in my apartment just so I had an excuse to talk to him.
Oh God.
yeah, I know how that
God.
is.
Yeah.
Aren't you
Yeah.
glad you're here with us
Oh,
now?
I really like
instead?
Outbreak energy drink. Do you want to talk to me on the phone?
I'm dying
yeah.
inside. God.
But I'm living honestly and openly with who I am, and it's all right. And he's going in the complete opposite direction of like God, family, child. Just got it baptized again as an adult.
I mean, and if he's happy, then go
Yeah.
with God. But
Yeah,
like,
man.
also,
Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a wild ride,
But I always think it's weird when people are like, pick.
Oh yeah.
It's like, but what?
Yeah, and
What
it's
do
not
you
even
care?
it's not even pick, it's an assignment. Like, no, you're gay. Like that's what you are.
You have
Just say
to-
you're fucking gay. I'm like, well, I'm not gay, man. I don't even know what the fuck I am.
Are
Yeah.
you? So you're not like gay bar gay, or will you go to that scene as well?
I used to secretly go to gay bars.
Okay.
I used to get fucked up and like go to gay bars and get like, I'd like get drugs and shit and be like, well, it's not gay because I'm like getting drugs in the end or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, or just like fucking.
It's not gay if you get drugs out of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Dude,
I'm gonna
I
put
used
that on a
to.
T-shirt. It's gonna sell so
Right?
hard in
Dude,
fucking Atlantic City.
I used to roll
That's
out.
terrible.
I used to roll out a cabin and go to this fucking gay bar called the Cock
Oh yeah.
down the
Yeah.
street. You remember the Cock?
Yeah,
you
I know the Cock.
Yeah, and they had these go-go dancers on the bar, and you just sit there and eat their ass, and then you get like a shot as like a chaser.
Do you like eating ass? I don't
I
understand.
love it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Big
yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
Will you
yeah.
eat-
The anus is an incredibly erogenous
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
It's very sensitive. There are tons of
I'm
nerve
just not
endings.
there. Maybe I'm just like a little baby at
It's
this
okay.
point, but like,
you can get there whenever you're comfortable.
thanks.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
Mm-mm.
But also, it's
But also do it.
No, well, I mean, the thing is like I'll be walking in the street sometimes, and I'll be telling my boyfriend, I'll be like, stick your finger in my butt, and he's like, we're in broad daylight. I'm
That's
like,
hot. Hell yeah. Do it. Why not? A little midday butt grab. checking the oil, you know.
I've got an
ass.
itch.
I like
care of it.
eating. I like eating chicks' ass better than like eating guys' ass. You know, unless it's like a chick's ass. I don't like hair on me.
Right. I think a lot. I would probably be more inclined if the man was waxed.
Right? Yeah. But women, I'm like, hey, whatever you got. All right. But then the guy, I'm like, you got to be like a woman.
You have to be like a very taking care of woman too.
Yeah.
And will you eat lady ass or man ass or?
I think that if that was what that person wanted, then I would be like, I can do that. Yeah, I'm
Hell
into
yeah.
that. Mm-hmm.
So you're down for all the parts too.
Yeah, I'm down for it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sick.
Oh, great.
I don't
High
really,
fives all around.
High five.
I have to be real though. I don't really like men though. By which I mean, I don't. Regardless of, I'm like not talking about anybody's like specific body parts here. I just don't like guys that much.
Oh,
Just
interesting.
guys. Like
Right.
I don't really care what you. I mean,
But trans
they're all right.
women, you'll date.
Yeah,
Have you
I would
dated
date. I
a trans
haven't
woman before, or
thus far. I've pretty much, my dating history is pretty much like cis women and femmes to like femmes who like don't identify as cis but are like still like assigned female at birth people, still like
what is
vulva
a
people.
femme?
Femmes, like you know, like feminine
feminine
people,
qualities, feminine features.
Born with
whatever. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't
Any
matter
femme.
what you.
Yeah,
Oh,
it doesn't matter, but
cool.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like almost like a lifestyle. in a way.
Okay.
Yeah. It's more. It's a gender. It's
Yeah.
a gender.
I'm
That's so interesting because I have never dated a guy, but I've dated trans women and cis women.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like guys either. Like I like
Yeah.
guys in like a sexual way,
Yeah.
but not in like a
romantic.
Yeah,
like take care
yeah.
of me when I'm sick way.
yeah.
And I'm attracted to guys, but not as I just really I love women and femmes.
Yeah.
Like that's like where my brain
Me
is
too.
going.
I
Yeah,
mean,
me
and
too.
I'm like, I would say I'm like 95% straight, maybe 90%. We'll see.
Right.
You know,
You have a long life.
I have a long life, and things change, and nobody knows anything. But I will say I have always loved fucking trans women.
Now, when
They're
you say
so-
trans women, do you mean
Tits
male
and
to
a dick.
female? Oh yeah, me too.
Well, but not all trans women
I know.
are gonna have bodies like that too.
Right. So then it's trans men that are female to male.
I guess in some terms, yeah.
So if you say trans women, it's
Well,
Yeah.
male.
Just don't be
I
a
was-
chaser, Remy. That's all.
I'm not a chaser at all. It's more like, hey, boyfriend who's straight, can I put you in a corset? No.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. Like, you know, Tim Curry, Rocky Horror. Come on, guys. Get on board.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And then if that person wants tits, I'm like, yeah, because tits
See,
are
I'm
great.
not into that, but I'm into trans women.
Like fully.
Yeah. Top surgery only. If
Surgery
If
only.
they have bottom surgery,
See,
I'm
but
like,
and I like
all
that
right, kick
too.
rocks.
I like that too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or like I like to watch that in porn at least. Fake tits
tits and a dick.
and a dick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tits and
That's
a
fine.
dick.
This is a very body essentialist conversation, you guys.
Is it?
I feel like it's a very honest conversation.
I think it's both. It could be
Yeah.
both.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's not essential. But, like, you know how people, like
It's preference.
eyes? Yeah. Like, in this show, Love Island, for instance, it's like, it's like, listen, Scott is not my normal type. Like, he's not blonde and tall, but, like, we like each other. So I'm going with him. Like, sometimes you don't, like, sometimes you're not a lesbian, but you're like, I love you. Oh, now we're going to crack on.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't know.
Right.
No, I feel you. I'm just stoned and navigating the conversation.
No, I know, but I
Oh,
think
hell
that
yeah.
you're smart too to bring these things up because I think also we're assuming my listeners are like very educated, throwing around all of these terms and like
We're not assuming that all of your listeners are super educated on like terms and like
Right.
concepts and stuff. Like, I think especially being that none of us are trans women, and trans women are like
Right,
a
right.
highly sexualized, highly like affected by violence like type community. I just like want to like be really intentional about like how we talk about them and their bodies. Like,
True.
you know what I mean?
yeah.
For sure. But I also think that doesn't put them off the table of
No,
having
no.
a discussion.
No, not off the table of anything. I just am trying to be intentional.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think if you're just true and honest in a loving and righteous way, I think that comes off as intentional as well. But if your truth is like, well, I hate them, it's like,
Right.
easy on your truth,
Right,
or maybe like be open to thinking about a different truth.
I know, yeah, no, but it's true.
And
there's so many hot
future
people that aren't
programming.
here that I can't.
I think, yeah. So I mean, like, what's the difference between that and like a another person that identifies in another way? Like, if you bring up something you like about a black person, then it doesn't mean a black person has to be here to speak on it.
No, it's important to think about, like, I think, like, I'm, like, a pretty insensitive person in general.
That's interesting. You don't come off that way.
Insensitive might be the wrong word. I think I just, like, kind of say whatever is in my head, which can come off as insensitive sometimes. And a lot of people do that these days. And especially, like, with not knowing stuff or having, like, we have to invent terms almost for these new conversations that people are having.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you know those things without having a ignorant conversation?
I feel that too.
Ignorance
Yeah.
means just not knowing, and I think a lot of people are afraid of having the conversation because they don't want the pushback of like, well, how dare you bring this up and not know? And it's like, well, I don't fucking know.
Well, I don't fucking
and I want to feel safe in knowing.
Yeah.
So fucking, I would love to be taught. Teach me, baby.
No, I mean,
And that's why
I've
we're
had
all
conversations like recently. Like I was talking to like a family member. We won't say which. And I was like, yeah, one of my friends is non-binary. I was referring to Jess, and my family member was like, what is that? And I was like, they don't have a gender. And she was like, is there a group of them?
there is, in fact. Yeah. No, I
Lots of
feel you.
groups. Yeah, I mean, I think also too, there's such an incredible divide because these things have existed, but they weren't brought up and voiced for so long that obviously there's going to be a divide between cultures and age and classes. And I think a lot of bigotry comes from ignorance and fear, and you get scared of what you don't know. And so it's like, teaching an old person how to use a VCR used to be, a complete fucking 12-week process. How are they going to understand trans identities? It's almost like you have to be like, you almost, in order to make progress, I think in a way you almost have to like accept that they're just not going to get it as long as they're just nice and not like hateful. Like my mom, for example, when I like told her everything about me, she was like so fucking loving and kind.
Really?
Oh, completely. And like, because she knew there was always something, she could never pinpoint like why I would like disappear, why I had this sadness about me. And so then like everything like clicked, and it has elevated our relationship to a way I never thought possible. But at the same time, she wants to be interested in my life, but she is confused about these things. So, I'll be like, oh, I had a date. And she's like, oh, Ian, is it a boring girl or is it one of your friends? And it's like, that's such like a loving thing that I would be the asshole to be like, Mom, that's not a what I mean? It's like, Gail, I love you.
Yeah.
I get that you're trying, baby. And that's all that matters,
Is like intention based. Like it's how you say things. Like as
Well, a lot
long
of
as
people-
it's like with love and trying to understand.
That's what I think it should be, but I feel like a lot of people say impact is more important than intent. When you can't control the impact of what you say if your intentions are pure and someone takes it another way.
What do you think, Jess?
I think I'm an impact is takes precedent over intent. In that, like, you can step on someone's foot by accident and it'll still hurt that that person still gets hurt.
Yeah.
For sure, but that's not your intention to hurt them.
No,
You
but
can't control that happened if it was an accident.
certainly not. And I agree with you about that.
I
when
did name somebody by accident, and it really hurt their feelings.
Yeah, you gotta. Well, did you say sorry?
Of course, and now we're great friends.
Well, great.
Well, that's perfect.
That's you just right. You just have to like be like, you're right. I'm sorry.
But
and then, like,
I didn't love the initial blowback on me, like, how dare you, when I was like, that's your name on Facebook.
Right.
That's
How
hard.
Yeah,
Am I
think,
supposed to know that?
I think that's wrong for them to
But now
do
we're
that.
friends.
Right, and that's all
But
that matters.
but I was initially like really hurt that anybody would think I was trying to hurt them in that way when yeah.
To me, like, I like get how that also hurt you, like, to receive that blowback. But like for that person, it's kind of like
Worse.
Well, you don't know. It's worse, yeah. And also like you don't know like what kind of trauma they might have that like makes it so that they have to like that they feel so upset that they have to lash out at you. Then even because you like didn't mean to do it or you did it by accident, but like for
Could I interject? I feel that this would be analogous. I am I'm an alcoholic. I'm a drug addict. I'm in recovery. I've been sober. I've been in and out of recovery programs, hospitals, institutions since 2008. And I am offered drugs and alcohol all of the time.
Yeah.
And drugs and alcohol destroyed my life.
Right.
I've been in terrible situations. I should be dead for where they led me. Very traumatic. So when someone offers me alcohol or drugs, they aren't aware of my life. They aren't aware. Even some friends of mine know, and they're like, "Oh, I forgot." But people aren't aware, and in a way, they're offering me a communal thing as an olive branch of, "Hey, do you want this?
Yeah.
Hey, do you? Oh, you're gonna get you, you know." And it's not an intentional thing to hurt me. So if I were to get mad at them and hold that against them, would that be analogous to...
Oh my God, you would hate me. The amount of times I've tried to smoke you
Exactly.
out.
So then what gives you the right to get upset at someone when they don't know your specific name or situation? Because it's truly not the other person's job to know your life.
I agree. It's not anybody's job to know anything about your life, like especially if they haven't had resources to like learn.
Right.
I totally agree with that. I'm also just like, you know, it's not really about what gives you right to get upset. It's that people just are gonna have their feelings. You know what I mean?
Or
Like things
it's
are
how
gonna
you
make
deal
them.
with it. It's like, I am upset now. What do you do? Or whatever. It's like, I either say sorry and I learn from or try and learn, or like, I don't say sorry and then you're a fucking asshole.
But I think it's on the other person too to learn that not everyone is going to be so socially aware and to internalize that in a way, because I've known people that, like, if you're like, "Oh, hey, do you want a drink?" They're like, "I'm an alcohol. How dare you?" And it's like, well, hey, man, I'm sorry. You know, fuck me for trying to include, you know. And I understand the trauma and the hurt, but to blow back and then hurt someone else because of how you were slighted, I can't get down with that in any regard, whether it has to do with pronouns, gender, trauma, or whatever, unless you are a fucking asshole. Like I've had people, friends, take a drink and be like, "Come on, man, you want one? You were so much more fun when you drank."
What?
I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out."
Yeah.
Addressed it. That makes me feel uncomfortable. Don't ever do that again. Didn't happen again.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like resentments keep us sick, and if you do resent and don't address it right away, no matter what it is, I feel that it's going to build up. And I feel like a lot of what we're seeing is people being very resentful for the slights they have experienced or perceived. And then when one thing happens, that's all the anger that they've held up has been then put out on someone else. Yeah. And I just want to give everyone like a hug
reprieve.
all of the time. I just want to be like, it's okay. There's so much love and it's not bad. This person didn't mean to hurt you. But if you're a fucking asshole about it.
Yeah,
like,
no, some people
go get
are
fucked,
like
dude.
fucking
Like if somebody fucked with
vindictive
your fucking pronouns on purpose,
Yeah.
I would fucking knock them out.
Yeah.
Like, you're a fucking piece of garbage, dude.
Yeah.
You know? And I just met you. Like, I want to fucking...
thank you.
Yeah, I want to fight for you, Jess.
Thank you. Well,
That's why I wear these rings.
Leave marks.
Yeah. They're my bigot knuckles.
Ian's Fidance hit you.
Yeah.
we'll add each other on Facebook so I can message you.
I don't do
when
Facebook. But you can message
What?
me.
Are you
I'll
done?
I'll telepathically.
Yeah, I do. I couldn't get down with it, man.
That's all right.
too
That's
much.
allowed.
Yeah.
It's
But I
it's
still
a
got
lot.
Messenger. Message
Yeah.
me. We'll talk.
You still have Messenger. I didn't know they could do that.
Yeah, because I still get shows from... I just don't go on Facebook. I can't do it.
Yeah, I find that there's not like a lot of real people on there anyway anymore.
I know.
No.
It's mostly comics and like, I don't know.
Dude, I want to love you because of our personal interactions. I don't want to have who you are and what you're thinking all the time infect my thoughts of you.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather hate you in real life because of what you do than like be like, how can you believe this thing? And then see you out and be like, what's up, dude? You know?
Yeah, but then isn't it sometimes good to know?
No,
yeah, I
it's
like to
not.
know.
I do not. We were not meant psychologically to know all this information about people.
I agree with that too, and yet in my heart, I
But
like
it feels
to know.
good, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel so good to
Yeah.
like know and be like, this fucking person?
Yeah. Also,
not
though, I
healthy.
feel like I misrepresent myself a lot on Facebook and stuff. Like, I'm like, I
Interesting.
hate who I am on social media.
Oh, I mean, I have a
Because I'm just trying to be good at it, and I'm not good at it.
Ah,
so
fuck
then
it.
it falls in this like no man's land of like, who are you?
I've just now figured out who I am and what I am and what I stand for,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to compromise it with some like alternative extension of myself online. I can't deal with that reality.
Yeah.
You know what I
Man,
mean?
I'm
Like,
total cyborg.
really?
Really?
Oh,
I'm,
no.
I'm totally in and out. But I think that also comes from being like a little bit younger, because like I was.
How old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay,
We're
yeah.
like
We're
How old are
around
you?
the same age.
28.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm 33.
Nice.
I'm an old dinosaur.
that's not that old.
But that's interesting. So you think being younger has affected your
Well, because in as far as like internet and technology terms, I was younger when like more technology was
Yeah.
coming
Right.
out. So I was raised on more of it. Like I would say I've been addicted to the internet from as early as like 8-9 years old.
interesting?
Yeah,
And-
I think me too. I think it because it kind of like has helped like come out, like it helps you come out and be yourself.
Totally.
In a way.
And experiment with like who you are
Yeah.
and like who you're becoming.
In reality or in online?
Online gives you like an outlet to do that.
Interesting.
Like I feel like a
And-
lot of people didn't know I was funny until Twitter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and
then
like
what
I
matters, Twitter or being on stage?
Oh, being on stage.
Right.
I think it depends.
Oh, really?
I disagree.
Oh my God, this is so fun. You
I
guys
think
are so
they're-
different.
I think it depends. I think they're for different things.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they're for different audiences. They're
Right.
for different types of people. The people that I'm speaking to because I love Twitter. Like I'm high key addicted to
Yeah.
Twitter. And that's my social medium of choice. But the people that I'm talking to on Twitter, completely different from the people who I would be performing for.
Interesting.
In a bar show or at a venue or at a club. Like very, very often the circles literally don't touch each other. But like just in as far as like what it is that like I'm doing as far as my goals and just like living my life like the way that I want to live my life.
Which is accomplishment in and of itself. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like that's
right.
fucking huge.
We're trying to do that. Like
Yeah.
we're just trying to do it.
What
For
be our real truth?
Yeah, and like live our lives the way we would like to live them.
Yeah, as authentically as possible as to what you perceive as authentic.
My God.
Oh, look at that little cat.
She's
She's the one that figured it out. She's
Grace
the one
is
living
laying
the
on the
best life
floor.
ever.
I
She's
know.
the
I feel
cutest
jealous of
fattest
this all the
cat.
time.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a difficulty getting down with the internet because I'm.
Did you never cyberd or anything? I got into the.
I got walked in on by my grandfather cybering with my first internet girlfriend, Adidas 127. When I was in like
He
seventh
was
grade.
cybering with her.
No, I was.
No, I'm joking.
Oh God, it was him.
You
He
walked in
was
on your
Adidas 127.
Jokes
Yeah.
on a podcast.
Yeah, can you believe it? Right? Finally, we hit one.
Audacity.
Yeah, right. I've been really slacking in the joke department. I've been so intrigued with the conversation. I'm like, I forgot my.
I forgot that I'm a
Objective.
clown.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
you're
I
not.
forgot that I'm a
No,
fucking.
you're a human being.
That's right. I'm a human. I'm a person that's a comic. Not a
Yeah.
comic that's a person.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I think I'm a comic that's a person.
Ooh. Interesting. Jess?
Oh man, I don't know. Now we're like deep existential.
Yeah, right. You guys are stoned. I'm just
Okay,
like-
Jess, I tried to look this up, but do you know how many genders there are?
There's not a number.
There's not a number, right? Charlotte and
Yeah.
I were talking about this, and she was like, it's more like if I wake up one morning and I feel a certain way, like that's a gender.
Pretty much, yeah. No, I'm with that.
Okay. How have there any been difficult that you were like, wait, what?
Okay. So it's like, it's so hard to talk about this because I feel like any argument that I'm going to make is also going to sound like a conservative person making an argument against me. But at the same time, I will say that one time I scrolled across an OkCupid ad of somebody who said that they used fairy, F-A-E-R-I-E pronouns that were different depending on whether it was sunup or sundown. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know about that.
Whoa.
But at the same
Wait,
time,
what does that mean?
what are
You
we
have to
doing
be
here?
like fair.
I don't know. But
I don't know.
at the same time, my political standpoint on that is everybody can, like, you can do whatever you want. And also understand that if a lot of people have a hard time doing something, then, like, a lot of people are going to have a hard time doing it.
Okay.
But again, that does sound like something that somebody would say to me.
Right.
To be like, that's not real.
I know. It's so difficult to, like,
So
wrap
then
up
where's
with
the
a bow.
line?
I don't know.
I don't really think in general that it's, like, right to police somebody's,
Here's
like,
my
gender.
thing with non-binary, though. I don't like that they sounds like a group. I love your joke about it. It's one of my favorite jokes of yours that fuck.
That's all right.
Sorry.
Just keep working on it.
Tell the joke. If you can. Or you don't have to.
Okay, the joke goes. What's funny about this is that if there was some crazy person who really liked me and wanted to listen to every podcast I've ever been on, I have to say this joke a lot on podcasts.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
that's so
yeah,
funny.
people always ask me to say this joke.
That's gonna be your Charlie Murphy thing. If people yell out to you on
Or
the
like
street.
your what you talking about? Say it. Say what you talking about, Willis.
Yeah, what's the thing people would yell at Chappelle? They'd be like, Samson. Or something like that. You know, people are gonna yell this joke. Get ready, Jess. It's coming.
It's always like almost the first joke I tell on stage. So I come on and like, blah, blah, hi, I'm Jess. I do go by the gender neutral pronoun they, them. I like when people call me they. It makes me feel less lonely. Like someone can be like, oh, that's Jess. They're going to go smoke a spliff. And it sounds like I had a friend.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. We use they as a singular pronoun all the time in the English language.
Do we?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just don't think about it that much.
Yeah,
like
it's so like done so often that it's like blinking. You don't even
Yeah.
realize you're doing it.
someone's at the door. I wonder what they want.
Yeah.
If you have a friend, they can stay in the guest room. Shakespeare used they as a singular pronoun. So it's actually,
Oh,
Like-
shit.
yeah. Or like, especially if we're talking about like a hypothetical person where we don't know their gender.
Right.
And so it's like,
I think people just don't like being told what to do.
yeah,
I think that's
agree.
what it is.
Yeah.
It's like if all this stuff just slowly dripped onto our heads, we'd be like, cool. But then the fact that it's like, no, you must do this. People are like, I ain't gonna.
I think that we all have female and or
Or like
Alpha,
feminine and
omega.
masculine qualities.
Yeah. And like you don't have to be told wear a dress or like, you know, all this shit that was like really annoying.
Can we go back to question? When you said nobody should police anyone's gender, what do you feel about people policing the way people speak in terms of jokes?
I was a part of an interview about this sort of thing in the Fader, which is just me saying, this is just me.
Read the interview.
Yeah, read the interview.
Free plug.
But
Pleasure sponsored by Pleasure Chest and Fader.
and the Fader. I will say, I'll paraphrase myself though. I think, like as far as jokes go, I mean it's a couple of things. Like one is like I don't believe in like it's just a joke or anything is just a joke. Like I believe that like
Jokes come
jokes
from
are point of
truth.
views,
Yeah.
and you know they come from somewhere real. Even if you don't like if you're saying something like in jest or in satire, like it comes from somewhere. I also think you know, okay, fine, people can say whatever they want, people can make whatever kinds of jokes they want, and they just have to also be prepared that people are going to have reactions to that, and people will have their own responses to that, and that like both of those are free speech, you know what I mean? So I don't think it is policing until we're like that person should not be allowed to say anything anymore. Like, I do think that, okay, for example, this thing that's happening with Michelle Wolf right now, and
the White House Correspondents'
the
Dinner.
White House Correspondents Association, like, apologizing and, like, taking back, you know, essentially that they, like, had hired her.
Wait, really? I didn't know that had happened.
Yeah, they sent out, like, an apology being like, this was not in the spirit of the mission of the White House Correspondents' Dinner or whatever. Like, I do think that because we're talking about the press now, that I think is censorship and is policing. But, like, people, like, for example, if, okay, let's say Dave Chappelle does a joke that I find to be transphobic. I can have my feelings about that and my opinion about that. I'm not saying Dave Chappelle should never
speak again.
Like,
Yeah, and you
never have
should
any
be
jokes
able
about
to
that.
speak about your opinion, like,
Right.
and you know,
Right. So I would say
and
that
voice
that's
your opinions.
That's
Yeah.
not policing, and that, like, I'm like, that's just me having my feelings.
Yeah, being like, hey, listen up, you hurt. You could. I
Right.
mean, only 16% of the population in America says they know a trans person.
Right. And that's not true. Like, a lot of other people probably do.
Of course,
but
but they
just
don't know. Yeah, or the
Right.
person themselves doesn't even know because they're not. They don't have access to information that
So-
they're like, I just feel weird in this body.
So do you see any difference between the right's reaction to Michelle Wolf's and the left's reaction to Dave Chappelle?
It's
I think
There's
I
criticism
think
and
my
then
problem
there's
with theirs is they
institutional-
lied. They're like
Right.
they're fucking
Yes.
lying. That's
Yes.
the problem. It's not that they're like offended. They're fucking fake offended, and
Yes.
they're trying to spit it into a narrative that their followers believe. And I'm not trying to offend anybody who whatever.
Yes.
But like, listen, she never made any jokes about her appearance. And first of all, Trump's made so many jokes about people's
Right.
appearance, women's appearance specifically. Like, when did this start being the unokay thing? First of all, Michelle Wolf, all she said was she burns lies and then uses them to make a perfect smoky eye. She's complimenting her makeup skills, if anything.
Right. Well,
And-
she's
and
spinning. It's
glam
spinning the
shaming
narrative.
at the worst.
It's spinning a narrative.
there's not really a material consequence of what Michelle Wolf said,
Right. but
unless something changes for the better, like in
right,
the White
but
House.
it's interesting that the same people that are rallying around Michelle Wolf were the same people to throw Chappelle under the bus for transphobic jokes.
But what I'm saying is that there is a material consequence to someone like Dave Chappelle.
But as a comic, I feel it's your job to defend jokes no matter what.
I don't
even
agree
if
with that.
even if you don't agree with the content of the joke, that the idea of us creating is that you have the right to make the joke. I have the right to think the joke fucking sucks, but I don't think it's any of our business to tell people. Like, I think the non-committal to laughter from the audience should tell you enough, like, yeah, don't fucking do that joke, you know. And also at a certain point, I feel that you need to do the bad jokes in order to make it a good joke. Like, you have to carve out. You have to take a whole clay mold of shit and constantly throw that
Chip away
shit
at it.
and chip away at it. And
Yeah.
if you stop that process because you don't agree with it and you feel that the joke, you know, well,
you're
I have the right
hindered.
to dislike the joke. Well, the process of making that joke great is going to deal with a lot of bad reactions and hurt feelings, you know. Like, Michelle Wolf crafted those jokes for so long, and I'm sure, I mean, I know they were bad at one point, and they were, you know, those weren't the only jokes she wrote. There were a lot of jokes that were too offensive, too biting, whatever,
Yeah.
and she skipped them. We saw the final product.
Yeah.
So in order to get there, and as comics, it's our job to support the process of saying the jokes freely, taking the time it takes to mold them down. And if you get in the way of that process, you're getting in the way of creating art. And Leonard Bernstein said he's been around the world and he's never seen a statue of a critic. You know, and if you get in the way of that process, I feel that it kind of stifles our growth as a community of people who are building lives on expressing our perspectives and opinions, which aren't always going to be agreed
Right.
upon.
Yeah, because
know.
we're not like fucking perfect. No.
Yeah, that's why diverse lineups are so great, because you have these conflicting points of view.
Yeah.
Where like show lineups of just like the same type people, it's fucking boring.
Boring, yeah.
You know, you need like opinions that fucking piss you off. jokes that make you angry, because then you can think more.
Yeah.
But people are always going to be shitty.
I don't even remember the trans jokes that Chappelle made. Were you hooking up with any women at the time that were trans that were offended, or?
No, I talked to some of my friends about it, and they thought that it was fine. Yeah. But I mean, also too, that doesn't mean that that's, just because you talk to a couple people doesn't mean that they speak for everyone.
Well, that's the thing is like everybody always assumes like because like if they don't know a trans person, they're like, oh, then that one I see in the media speaks for all of them.
Right.
Right.
I mean, I think the thing that's so like powerful about comedy is that it doesn't just exist within itself and like interact with itself. It exists in the grand scheme of the world. Like the people who watch comedy and consume comedy by and large are not comics. By and large are not people who work in comedy. They're everyday people, and so we all like go out in the world and like influence each other based on what we're seeing and hearing. And the thing that I thought was so dangerous about some of the stuff Chappelle was saying, which was because I watched both of the specials, so I would know what I was talking about, because I had seen stuff about it, and I was like, I know how I probably feel about this, but I need to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I was actually shocked at how much more of it there was than I was expecting. I was like, okay, sure. Chappelle said a transphobic thing. He made one transphobic joke. But it was like a theme that like went throughout like the entirety of at least of one of those specials specifically. I think the LA one actually. And to me, it's not about being offended or like who was or wasn't offended, although people were offended. It's more that like when you like he made a joke specifically about how like everybody cares about trans people now, nobody cares about black people anymore, which like okay, there's people who are black and trans also.
A lot of the people that are targeted the most are black trans women.
Exactly. And so when he
I've
made
only
this
ever
joke
been with black trans women.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you love black trans women
And black guys.
and
I've
black.
never been with a fucking white dude.
when he
You've never been with a white dude?
No.
Oh my god, I didn't know that. Look at you. See, I pictured the guy from completely. I pictured him as mine. Nope, different guy.
That's right, baby.
Nice.
Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, Jess.
Oh no, it's all good. He made a joke that was specifically like that, how he as a black man should get dressed up as a woman, and he would be safer that way because police kill so many black men, which is true. And the thing about that joke is that, like, just like you said, actually a lot of black trans women suffer a lot of violence, like including a very high murder rate. And so, like, unfortunately, what is supposed to just be a joke, a lot of the time men who are in relationships with trans women end up like killing them or committing violence against them is because of this like idea that like trans women or associating with trans women is something to be laughed at and something to be made a joke about. And so like that means that these things that are just sort of supposed to be jokes that are self-contained within a comedy special, within a show, it's influencing us.
Can I interject?
To overall.
I hear you, and I respect your perspective and your opinion and point of view on that. I would add to that there is truth to that, but also because of that special, also in general, there is mass transphobia and homophobia in the black community.
Yeah.
In many different communities. And because of this special, conversations have been had with a bunch of friends of mine about trans women, black trans women, the treatment of trans women. I mean, in ways that I don't think would have come up
otherwise
if it wasn't filtered to them that way. And to your point, because of the outrage in the articles, these conversations came up as well. But Chappelle's chunk, also speaking hyperbolically in terms of well, if I want to be safer, I got to dress up like a woman because I won't get, shot as a black man. It's like that is inflammatory, and it's said to make you think about a bigger picture. And I think we're concentrating on the smaller aspect of what he said, when in reality, this conversation probably wouldn't be happening if he didn't have that in his special.
Like, let's say that if that comedy special didn't exist at all, and the three of us still on this day ended up getting together, like, by virtue of, like, you being here and me being here, well, I'm sure we would still be having a really interesting conversation about gender.
Black trans women, because Ian loves them.
Perhaps. That still could be happening anyway. So it's like, I feel you. I feel you about, like,
I don't think this podcast is reaching the same audience as Chappelle, though. That's
right,
the
but
thing
is that
a good thing?
Right.
Because then it's getting translated to a different audience.
Here's
and if that didn't come up, this conversation wouldn't happen.
Totally. Here's a separate joke thing that, like, I've actually had an argument about whether it should be policed or not. You know that Mel Brooks movie where the guy is like...
Blazing Saddles?
You said rape twice. I like rape. Yeah, that one. Should that joke be allowed to be made because it perpetuates rape culture? And it's like, well, on the one hand, it's a joke, and like people who are smart enough to know it's a joke will take it as a joke.
Right.
But on the other, there are people who will take it as literal, and they're like, oh yeah, rape is good. And is it healthy to put that out there?
Yeah, but is it
Right,
our
no,
job
I agree
to
with
think
you.
that, to make things idiot-proof for the morons that out there?
Right.
The majority of the country
That's
is fucking
so-
stupid. The
right.
majority of the world's fucking
There
stupid.
should be like, instead of like, you have to be this tall to ride this ride, you have to be
Right.
this
Like, if you
smart to
can't
hear
get
this
irony-
joke.
If you can't get a joke, why is it my fault as the one that creates a joke when it's your disconnect from understanding the act of the joke? You know?
But what if they do something bad after?
Right. Well,
When
I mean,
have
it's
jokes
not,
ever
nothing
made
is,
someone do something bad?
It's
When
not-
has someone heard a joke and they've gone out and committed a crime?
I don't think that it's a one-to-one kind of thing. Like, that joke just told me.
But you just said, what if they go out and do something bad?
I don't know. Yeah, I
And
don't
also
know. That's
that-
how I feel.
also
because
that
it's
joke-
no, it's in the
Scared.
fabric of. It's in the fabric of. It's not that joke is rape culture itself,
Right.
You know,
People come to jokes for relief, not for action.
but it's where does. It's just like
Where's
I don't
the
know.
line?
What's
where's the
being
line
put
with
into your
gender?
brain?
Where's the line with gender? I don't
Those
know.
are not the same thing.
Gender and jokes are
Those
the same.
are
There are
not
a million
the same
different
thing.
kinds, and
My
we got to accept
gender
all of them.
might be a joke, but
Your
No,
gender
I
is
don't
not
think
a
a
joke.
joke is a
but
joke.
okay.
Like that Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
That was made so long ago.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be made today. Like, I feel like we're evolving in such a good
But
way. Like,
is that
have you
good?
seen the movie
See?
Blockers?
Uh-uh.
Oh, it's so good.
I haven't gotten to see it yet.
It's so sweet.
Because we
I
can't say
cried.
cock.
I cried. I laughed. It was so nice.
Really? That's
oh, it was
great.
so good. And
What's great about? I mean,
it's so great because it's like Bridesmaids meets American Pie for high school girls. And it had so many different. It hit every single social thing that's going on, but not in a ham-fisted, over-the-top way. It was
Cool.
like very sweet and touching.
this podcast
and
brought to you by
real.
Blockers.
yeah, please, yeah, I love it. I love it.
Sponsors.
But I feel like that movie has happened because of the cultural shift of we've seen what doesn't work and we've seen the perceived hurt of what things have caused in the
Yeah.
past. So we're not going to see another American Pie where it's just a bunch of guys that are
I
like,
think you guys are
oh,
saying
we
the
fuck
same
women,
thing, though.
you know.
I think you're saying the same thing because it's like the way that you were saying chipping away or whatever, like to craft a joke. It's like,
We have to
okay,
do that
we're all-
culturally.
we'll have to do that culturally and chip away at like, okay, well, this is unacceptable because it hurts this group of people, and this is unacceptable because, and like eventually, if we learn that, like, and it all comes back to what you were saying with communication, which is very important in bed, in bed, that like the quickest thing you can say is like, oh, that's hurting me, and then if a person reacts accordingly, like, then we're all better for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We
yes.
should treat everything like fucking.
Like fucking, yeah.
Because when you
This
Are
is
you
a
having a
sex
good
podcast.
time?
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
a sex
yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
I'm happy that both of you are here because it's like not anything that I deal with personally.
I enjoyed
I've never
this.
been non-binary.
Right.
I've never.
But you might be in the
fucked
future.
But
Yay,
I might
life's
be
not
in the-
over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hear.
Look at the future ahead of you.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, I think what we didn't even do was like the difference between sex and gender, which a lot of people don't understand. But like, just
that'll
it's
be
like,
part 2, 3, 4, 5.
There's so much to say, or there's nothing to say, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, well, I think gender is kind of like a made up thing, whereas sex is real. You really have a dick or you really have a pussy, like for now, and it could change.
And well, also there's intersex people.
Yeah.
Whose bodies are different.
Yeah.
So like we don't really know.
Your body is like you're born with certain parts, and that is your sex. Your chromosomes define your sex. Science, sex. But then it's all this shit like, like dresses and fucking. I keep only thinking about dresses. Like that's the only thing I know about being a girl is dresses. But like all that shit is just like what society has concocted. There's been different genders in like Native American tribes before.
Yeah,
like,
and a lot of different
cultures. Throughout history, there's a lot of
Two-spirit. Well, Hinduism, they celebrate a third gender.
What is it?
If I spoke on it, I would be wrong.
Okay.
So I don't want to. I just know that information.
Okay. Cool. And Jess.
Yes.
We never got to your first time coming story.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
To be real with you, I was one of those kids that was always wrapping up on stuff.
Yeah.
So like I don't really have like a first time coming story.
It was just like you were doing it all the time.
It
was
sort of, which is lucky in some ways.
But also you never had that like, oh, this is it.
Yeah, no, that never.
It was like, this is part
I was
of my
like,
life.
yeah,
this
is
like
the thing
eating.
that we do. It's
Yeah,
the thing
this
we
is
do
the
here. You guys doing it? We're good.
Did you ever ask anybody like, oh, you guys are doing it?
No, I mean, I probably wasn't doing it right there in that moment.
Yeah, I was doing it wrong when I started.
What were you doing?
I didn't know. Well, it was like humping stuff. And then I didn't know that you were supposed to like hold your penis. I thought that you were just supposed to like rub your penis. So
yeah, I didn't know
just...
I was supposed to hold my penis either.
Yeah, you guys know. Yeah. I didn't know, so I just like would rub it against my belly. How old were you?
Oh, I don't know.
Forever.
I just think I was
in the
as long as I can remember. I've like pretty much been like, yeah, that's
right.
How old
that's
were
something
you?
that we do.
I think I'm on the same page with you.
Yeah?
I think a lot of people are, but people don't talk about it enough.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they do on this.
Did you ever feel wrong for it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And also like once I learned like about like sex as like a thing and like a thing that exists like in society.
Yeah.
And you start to like assign that to this thing that you're doing, then it's like, oh, this is like a shameful and embarrassing thing that I'm doing now. Whereas before it was just a thing you were doing.
Yeah.
Because it felt good.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck, I'm a weirdo.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about AIDS on the radio and I started crying because I thought I was going to get AIDS. Because me and a friend used to like rub against each other.
Oh.
I'm going to get AIDS.
Sad. Well, Christina Hutchinson thought she was going to get her pretend horse pregnant.
Oh, that's so I remember her telling me that. That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It's so sad what people, I mean,
right?
Just educate. You get, I hate that word too, but like fucking read a book or listen to this podcast or something.
Yeah, people should, I believe in sex education
Oh,
and
completely.
pleasure-based sex education. Yeah.
I think anal sex and gay sex and lesbian sex should be taught in schools.
It should, because I
people
didn't
are gonna
understand
do
it for
it
the
anyway.
longest time. I
What's
didn't
that?
understand how. Yeah,
People are going to do it anyway.
People are probably already doing it.
Yeah.
You know, abstinence-based sex education is the dumbest fucking thing in the world.
yeah.
So dumb. Here's a map. Figure it out on your own and go to hell for trying.
Yeah. Was it tough in your family coming out as non-binary?
I mean, I guess there's a layered answer to that. One is that I didn't really come out as like anything to my family. A few things viewers that can't see me should know about. I'm Asian. I'm also. And what are you guys?
I'm Jew.
Good.
Ian's an Italian who looks like a Jew.
Right, he did tell us that.
I'm cool.
20%.
I'm cool.
And I'm a 5th generation American, which just means that we didn't have like a intense cultural barrier
Yeah.
or intense
Yeah.
like we grew up one way and you're gonna grow up a different way kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I grew up in San Francisco,
So it was
so it's not like everything was like, you know, it wasn't like everything's perfect all the time, but like I didn't really come out. I've been lucky to like have the freedom to just sort of be the way that I am.
Yeah.
And my family was like, I guess this is fine. Like, I guess this is who you are, whatever. I've been lucky, yeah. Which is just to say that like I do like go through, you know, the learning processes with my family. Because it's not like they're like, I know about non-binary genders
Right.
now and
Yeah,
I
no,
know
you
about
have to tell
blah
them.
blah. Yeah.
Ish.
But I'm like, whatever. Like, they don't use my pronouns. They're my family. For me, I decided that's fine for now.
Right.
You know, like, for other people, that's not fine. And then
Right,
it's different.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Seems like you have a good relationship with your family. That's great.
I'm lucky. I mean,
Hell yeah.
my family definitely, it's complicated. They got complicated stuff going
Yeah.
on. And also, like, I'm lucky to have a good relationship with most of my family.
That's
That's
great.
dope.
They ever like try to girl you up real hard?
When I was a kid,
yeah.
and actually, like, this is a thing that my mom, like, sometimes will go over where she's like, I don't understand, you know, I made you a princess dress when you were 7 years old. And I was like, yeah, and I'm
like
still a
it.
princess.
Oh.
Like, I loved it.
Yeah?
Like,
Oh,
so
you
that's
did?
what she doesn't get about
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
that she's like, you used to love this. And I'm like, no, I still do. It just, like, looks different. It
Yeah.
manifests different now.
Okay. So are there any nights that you'll get super femme or you're strictly middle of the road? Because
Not-
that's what I would say is like literally like Jess.
I
That's Jess.
I think of myself as, like, more on the line of, like, an extremely feminine boy.
Yeah, nice.
rather than a masculine girl
Yeah.
or a masculine person in general.
Yeah.
I do think of myself as effeminate,
Yeah.
extremely effeminate, but like in the way that a boy
Yeah.
is effeminate.
Like
Right.
like a boy in a band.
Or
Yes.
like
Like really slinky, like Axl Rose,
Or like a
essentially,
little
but without
effeminate,
the
like,
abuse.
kindergartner.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
That's how
yeah.
I was, dude. I was such like a little like whiny, effeminate boy. When I used to act like a girl, my parents would call me Ianetta.
Aw.
But at the
That's
same
not
time,
an insult. It's
but at the
like,
same time, they would like let me kiss my friends, and at Halloween, my mom would be a man and my dad would be a woman,
Aw.
and like it was like a very like loving thing. I was
great.
just like such a little like, you know.
Oh my god, I love little Ian.
No, I intensely enjoyed this conversation.
I know,
really
me
enjoyed your guys'
too.
opinions, perspectives. Thank
Me
you
too.
for being so open.
Thank you for being here. I have to ask everybody at the end of this podcast to be courteous, as you would in sex. Jess, did you finish?
Oh, certainly.
Okay, great, amazing. Ian, did you finish?
Clean up aisle Ian.
Amazing. Thank you for coming, and remind where they can find you.
My name is Jes Tom. You can follow me on Twitter at Jes Tom, JESTOM, or on Instagram at Jes the Kid, JES the Kid.
They are very big on Twitter.
Oh,
I try.
Follow me on Instagram at ianimal, IANIMAL. That's where I do most of my stuff. I'm on Twitter at IanFidance. And for all my dates in the city, ianfidance.com. And I'm going to be in Jersey, Philly, and Vermont in May. So check out my website for details on that. It's
Sick.
going to be fun.
Okay, cool.
Oh, in Atlanta in June. Well, it doesn't matter. Okay, bye.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna just
I just have to wrap up because I never made good on a thing I was gonna do. After the French episode, I said I was going to try and have sex in French and see how that went. I still haven't done it yet. I'll let you know how it goes when I do it. But I don't know. I don't think it's gonna happen because my boyfriend can't speak French. Like, what's the point of me saying shit if he doesn't understand? You know what I mean?
It's hot.
It's hot. Do you guys have anything that you could recommend to the listeners to do if they're not coming?
I would say just talk and be totally open about it and willing to try anything. And really, if you're having a hard time coming, go for the butt. Really get the butt involved because that really can make a difference. Yeah, but gently.
And with lube.
Yeah.
We'll have to have like an anal sex episode. Every guy that comes on here, I'm like, you have a thing? And they're like, put it up your butt. And I'm like, all right, I need to like, I can't just like tell people to shove up their butts.
No,
Jess,
it takes time. It takes time and
you
patience.
would recommend?
Try by yourself. You gotta find what works for you, and if you can do it by yourself, you don't have to feel any type of way about anyone knowing or seeing you.
One more thing, important announcement. This episode was recorded like 4 days ago. I've just finished a season of Love Island where I stand corrected. They actually don't hate bisexuals, and it's not only heterosexual couples. So you guys start watching Love Island. It's so fucking good. If you have like a Hulu account, use that. Use your friend's Hulu account. If you're close enough to me, message me. I'll give you my login. But yeah, watch it. It's really good. All right. Bye for real.